The pipe dream, right, is to be a successful director in Hollywood, right? And it's like, you laugh because it's like that, it sounds like ridiculous to be like, yeah, I want to be like a director in Hollywood, like I want to be a writer, like I want to be a screenwriter and be successful. But it's like, that's what I want for real in my life, is I want to be successful.
At first I thought I wanted to be a director, but the more projects I've done and stuff, the more I want to move to like the producing, so like pre-production planning and stuff, and also maybe like a scriptwriter, screenwriter. That would be really cool too.
Further than that, I think deeper than that, I would like to work. This is my dream and my vision, is I'd like to work in an industry that accepts me and my ideas because my ideas are good. I'd rather be hindered because my ideas are bad than because I'm a woman. You know, I don't want to have that secondary like block placed on top of things. So my dream in my career and in my future is to be able to be successful entirely because of how my stories impact people and no other reason at all.
Like you look at, Hollywood today, and a lot of the movies and shows are just like trash, honestly. not like just saying they're bad, but like the content and just like the explicitness is just like, it's so unnecessary, So I just want to make content that's like genuinely entertaining, but not, explicit, because that's possible.
The fact that I'm a woman, I think, contributes to how my stories impact other people as well. So I'm not saying that like I want people to disregard the fact that I'm a woman. I just don't want the fact that I'm a woman to stop me from being able to accomplish these goals.
In 2019, the worldwide box office made over $42 billion, with the US being one of the largest film industries in the world. Of the top 100 US grossing films of 2019, women represented 10.7% of directors, 19.4% of writers, 24.3% of producers, 5.2% of composers, and 70.4% of editors. In 2018, Mudbound's Rachel Morrison became the first woman ever nominated for the Academy Award for Cinematography. Kathryn Bigelow is the only woman to ever win the Academy Award for Best Director. Only 7 women have ever been nominated. This year, 2 women have been nominated for the Oscar Award of Best Director for the first time in history. This project is inspired by the women of the film industry. Women like Jennifer Lee, who directed and wrote Frozen 1 and 2. Women like Greta Gerwig, who has held the title of actress, playwright, screenwriter, director, and producer. And the upcoming women and recent graduates of Olivet Nazarene University, gearing up to enter the industry. These women have a story to tell, and it's their time.
It was when I got on set and I was one of the few women other than the makeup artist. And you kind of look around. Okay, and I work in Kansas City, so you mix to stay productive. You mix making commercials and industrials with doing film. So I'm on set a lot, and again, I just kept looking around, and I didn't see women. I didn't see female DPs. I didn't see female producers, and I certainly didn't see female directors. So when I got involved with women in film in Kansas City, we're hoping obviously to change that and kind of bridge the gap between the two. Why are women so successful in television and not in film? And I don't really know the answer to that other than, it needs to change.
Women have this innate ability to tell stories in this subtle way. It's like gestures and it's head turns and it's things that women do that other women notice. In Greta Gerwig's Little Women, came out in 2020, the whole movie is riddled with these kinds of things, right? And the story is so unique because here is a dried out old story, been out for forever, that has been done into a million different remakes, and Greta Gerwig comes out and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna make this story completely brand new. I'm gonna breathe new life into it. I'm gonna put it out of order. I'm gonna arrange things. I'm gonna tell the story from the perspective of three women, right? It's told from Louisa May Alcott, Greta Gerwig, and Saoirse Ronan, who's playing the protagonist, right? So it's a story about women, transcribed through three layers of women, and it's absolutely brilliant how it's done.
I think the most exciting thing about witnessing Greta the writer is that the moments that she wanted to be the most radical, she would say, I can't believe this. I'm actually going back to the text to use her exact words because it's so modern.
For me, I always heard it as a modern story. For me, it never felt dusty. It always felt like I could hear it clear as a bell. But when I was writing this screenplay, completely new parts of it jumped out at me.
And then you get these critics, these people who come in and they're like, she overcomplicated it. She made a story confusing. It doesn't make any sense. But then they praise things like Pulp Fiction, right? Which is male violence, or not to bash Christopher Nolan as a director, because I love him as a director, but his stories, nobody sits there and is like, these are bad because they're confusing. People are like, these are brilliant because they're confusing.
Television crew stays together and they get new directors, and then that director then edits the piece and that kind of thing. So a director is really tested, and if you're a female director, they always tell me they will do the most complex scenes first and win their crew. And men just don't get tested that way. In fact, I have a lot of male friends who don't know much about filmmaking, and the DP will give them all the answers, and it's like, well, sure, I don't feel like women get that support.
I get so frustrated when it's like the intentionality is so clear, and yet that's the very thing that people write off just because the director is a woman.
Definitely, as in with every career, women have a unique perspective because we have unique struggles and experiences, of course. And I think when it comes to how women are represented in film, that makes a huge difference because so you look at so many movies, even with female leads, they the writers and directors are men. How could they write a good female character?
There were a lot of those films I just didn't like, and it's just a gut feeling of because there are no real women in those films. It's not blatant sexism, but there's just nothing to my experience.
I was working on Cars 3, and so I just started counting. I was counting lines of dialogue, specifically looking at gender and how many lines of dialogue were spoken by female characters versus male characters, and then how many female characters spoke as opposed to male characters. In the very first script, I found that it was 90% male for both lines and characters. I showed the data that I came up with to the director, to the writers, to the head of story, basically to anyone that I thought had power over making a change. Maybe if people saw what the problem was, that they would have a similar reaction to what I had, which was, oh, this is something that we should change.
I decided to be a film studies major, kind of rewinding, looking back at like my college decision process. I just have always had this kind of passion for stories and telling stories. It felt natural and to want to go into video production and specifically into the film industry, just because I knew that for me it's not like, I love video production a lot, but it's that story element. I chose Olivet because of our film studies program here. I was not even going to entertain the idea of studying anything else.
So like I always knew I liked taking photos and videos and stuff, but I didn't really think about it as a career until like high school really. And then more so in college, of course. And when I transferred to Olivet, I realized just how fun it is. Like I didn't want a job where I would hate going to work every day, you know? It's like, I want to do something fun since I'm going to be doing it for the rest of my life.
Around middle school age or so, I was becoming kind of plugged into my youth group at my church, and there was a kid there that was like, do you want to take pictures for the youth group? And I was like, sure, I'd love to. He set me up with a camera, he showed me how to use it, like how to adjust the certain settings on it, and it just sent me off, and he had no idea, but that completely just opened this like world for me where I was like, this is so cool, like this is so much fun. I would love to stand behind a camera forever if I could. It was kind of this like perfect marriage of like this innate passion I felt like I was just always born with, as well as this discovered passion of cameras and working with film and with video. It is daunting to approach the industry in the position that it is in. I've never questioned that I've wanted to go into the film industry, but yet, like, I encounter people, I encounter guys, specifically boys, who are also going into this industry, and conversations arise where all of a sudden, like, I'm having these questions I've literally never had before of like, oh my gosh, do I have the grit for this? It's rough. Like, it's crazy how quickly people can belittle your opinion without fully even listening to you. And so, I don't know, it's those kind of statistics that are like, yeah, only 15% of women or only 15% of directors are women, is so just mind-boggling to me, because it's like, why wouldn't you want to hear from more women point of views? And I definitely don't think I'm prepared or ready, and I don't think I ever will be. But at the same time, it sort of gives me this sort of determination to say, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be a part of the 16% when it gets there.
It's exciting to see like more women in film, particularly like I think Greta Gerwig has been one of my biggest inspirations, and the year that Lady Bird came out, that was like, I was kind of in a similar position in my life as Lady Bird was, like about to go into college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And here I saw a woman writing and directing her own film, and it was incredibly well done, and it got recognition. And that was when I was like, I enjoy this so much, and here's a woman who's doing that, like maybe I can pursue that also.
Creating this space of how we support people to bring out their best work is the environment we have, and that's an environment that connects very deeply with me, that everyone's valid in the room and what they bring is important, and from there, trusting the best will come.
And the winner is, well, the time has come. Catherine Bigelow!
People don't talk about like stories they don't hear about. They're not seeing stories from the point of view of women on their screens, then they're not talking about it. You know, if they don't, and this goes for every single underrepresented group in Hollywood, for Black creators. If they're not seeing the stories on their screens from the point of view of Black creators, people will not talk about them. And the only reason why people are starting to talk about them is because they're trending. It's becoming a thing, and that's exactly what we need to do. We need to get people's voices that are being not heard.
I think about something that Lulu Wang said, so she wrote and directed The Farewell. She said the issue isn't that women aren't making films, it's also that they're not getting recognized for the work that they're doing.
I really wanted to have an all-female below-the-line crew and like heads of department because I wanted the best, and so a lot of the best to me are women. And so I just go for who's excellent.
One thing that I think about is a quote from Greta Gerwig's Little Women. If something has been written about, it's because it's already important. And Amy says, no, you write about something that makes it important. And so I think like simply sharing their stories, like women simply like sharing their own stories, makes them important.
I hope there's some inspirational messages in there on how to go through those things. I love that Anna always shows us how to never give up, and Elsa always shows us how to reach beyond our potential.
I think it's really cool to be able to tell stories that people will relate to, because I know personally I've seen like so many movies or TV shows and even like books and stuff too that they just like really hit home, you know? And it's like, oh, okay, I'm not like the only one who's experiencing this. I'm not the only one who has felt this way before.
If I can be successful in a male-dominated industry without feeling like it's a male-dominated industry, that feels like a dream to me.